Welcome to another edition of the Book Trivia Podcast, where we rummage through the shelves to get the juicy insider scoop on books we love. I'm Jess, and here's my better half, Rachel.
Hello, Jess. How are you?
I'm good. If you love a highbrow literary discussion complete with cigars, velvet jackets, and philosophical rants, sorry to burst your bubble, but that's not us. Today we're strapping in our spacesuits and hitching a ride on the book that had everyone side-eyeing the night sky and wondering what the heck is cruising past Earth. It's Arthur C Clarke's Rendezvous with Rama, which was first published way back in 1973 and still regarded as one of the cornerstones of Clarke's bibliography. But before we get into it, shall we do a quick round of trivia, Rach?
Yes, let's start with our trivia. Who's starting? You?
Yep. Which famous mystery author suffered from dysgraphia and often dictated her novels to a typist or tape recorder?
Her novels, mystery.
I can give you a clue.
I'm just going to say the biggest mystery author I know, Agatha Christie.
You are correct.
Oh.
So apparently dysgraphia is a neurological learning disability affecting writing, causing difficulties with handwriting, spelling, punctuation and grammar. So yeah, interesting.
I think I have that. My handwriting, I always get letters around the wrong way when I'm trying to write things down with a pencil.
I'm definitely glad we mainly type things these days.
Yeah, same. Okay, question 1 for you, Jessica. Name that book. A little boy wins a ticket to tour a factory.
Well, this is pretty obvious. But it has to be Charlie and the Chocolate Factory by Roald Dahl. A favourite of mine. Did you know, actually, that the movie, everyone who are fans of the movie would call it Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory because that's what the movie was called. But actually, the book itself is called Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
I wonder if that's like a Hollywood thing where the guy playing Willy Wonka was like, I'm only doing the movie if you put my character's name in the title.
Possibly.
Do you reckon? Could have been some agent wrangling behind the scenes. Yeah. Okay.
My second question is, which Nobel Prize winning author was also the first black woman senior editor at Random House?
Okay. I don't know anyone that I know was an editor, so I'm going to narrow it down to either Maya Angelou or Toni Morrison. Is it one of those?
You are correct. It's Toni Morrison.
Ooh,
very good.
I was going to pick one, but okay, you gave me a correct, so that's
2
nice.
for 2. Very good.
Okay. Name that series of books. A famous British author becomes a bungling sidekick to a crime-solving detective who wants his investigations to be turned into books.
Yes, I love these. So for our podcast listeners, Rach chose this as a book club pick, and I have since read the whole series after she chose this. But
Did I pick that? Oh,
yeah, that's how I'd never actually read. So it's Anthony Horowitz, and it's the A Line to Kill, I think, is the first of the series, but it's really meta, isn't it? It's like he's actually inside the book narrating it as himself, Anthony Horowitz, the author, and he talks about Hawthorne coming up and trying to talk him into writing the book. It's a brain stretcher,
isn't it? Because he's a real person, and then he puts himself as a character in the book.
But it works. I'm surprised, but I love that series. I think it really works.
The first book, you're kind of getting used to it because he's so into his character. Like, he just makes Anthony Horowitz really stupid, and you're like, why are you doing this to yourself? Anyway, yes, that's correct.
Okay, and then my final one is, what is the real name of the villain Voldemort in the Harry Potter series?
I can't remember the middle name. It's Tom something Riddle. Tom
M?
Marvolo?
Yes! Correct. Tom Marvolo Riddle. And as everyone knows, if you're a Harry Potter fan, and you should be, if you rearrange the letters, that's how she got Voldemort.
Oh, yeah, it's an anagram.
Marvolo, yeah.
That's right. Okay, my final one for you, Jess. Name that book. A bank worker and his wife hire a nanny for their children.
You're so nice to me. These kids, like, you realise I'm so dumb.
But it's so hard to come up with easy questions. Like, takes me ages.
But anyway, it's Mary Poppins.
Correct.
Easy
That was
peasy.
3 for 3 for you.
Yeah.
Right, so now that we've done our general trivia, let's talk about our feature book this episode, which is Rendezvous with Rama. So as always, spoiler warning, from here, we'll be talking about the whole book. So if you haven't read it, you've been warned. The Rendezvous with Rama is a science fiction book by Arthur C Clarke. It's set in the 22nd century and it's about a giant cylindrical alien spaceship. So think like a massive tube of Pringles or a tennis ball tube floating around in space. And it enters our solar system and the response to what happens from humans when that happens. So Jess, hit me with a quick trivia fact.
I actually have two, so let me start you off with an easy one. Do you know what the C in Arthur C Clarke stands for?
I don't. Can I guess?
Yeah.
Arthur, Charles.
Ah, yes.
Oh, is it? Wow.
Yeah, so
Arthur Charles
maybe an
Clarke.
easy one to know. So that is one. Luckily, I had another fact to back it up with, but just about the book itself, Rendezvous with Rama wasn't just a hit with readers, it also won big in the literary awards when it was first published. What a bonanza! It won 6 awards between 1973 and 74, including the Nebula Award for Best Novel, the British Science Fiction Association Award, the Jupiter Award for Best Novel, the John W. Campbell Memorial Award, the Locus Award for Best Novel, and our favourite award of all time, Rachie, the Hugo Award.
Oh, really? Yeah. I love Hugo. Like, now that I know they're shaped like rocket ships, I really want to win one.
Yeah.
I don't know
Very
how
good.
I could win one, but I still want one.
But yeah,
have you read this? Oh, sorry.
I was just going to say I think there was going to be a few more awards, but I'm not sure. I haven't. Let's just stick with those ones, eh?
That's a lot of awards anyway. Have you read this before? Did you like it?
So this was actually a first read for me. I had vaguely heard of Arthur C Clarke as the writer of A Space Odyssey. You know that book. I mean, most people have
2001: A Space
Yeah.
Odyssey. Yeah.
And I'd never actually read any of his books before, and when my copy came in the mail, the cover looked really familiar, and I actually asked my dad if he had read it, and it turns out he has read loads of Arthur C Clarke's. He loves Arthur C Clarke, and I must have been surrounded by them my whole life. I'm sure that's why it was so familiar to me, the cover, because they would have been lying around, as a young child. But yeah, in terms of the plot, I loved it. I thought it was really unique. Wasn't too political. It went straight into the action, which is great. The only thing my only qualm with it is that you can tell how scientific he is in his descriptions. So they were quite mathematical and physics heavy, and I just have trouble computing that. Just talk me through it in basic terms. Just say it was as big as a house or whatever.
Yeah.
What about you, Rach? Was it your first time reading it?
Yes, it was my first time, and I had the same qualms. Yeah, I thought it was a good book. I really liked reading it, like the ideas in it. Some of it was a bit dated, like the attitudes coming through were a bit juvenile.
The chimps.
Yeah, but it was very interesting to read, and I thought the ending was very amusing to me, like funny. So yeah, I liked it. But yeah, the description stuff, I'm trying to work it out and Googling it, and I'm like, why can't you just say like a giant tube of tennis balls, but like 50 kilometers long? Do you know what I mean? Because then I could picture it.
Yeah,
and
I had to Google image search it, so I could have an understanding of what he was trying to achieve with that.
Well, yeah, and then the cylindrical sea was described really poorly as well. And then I finally worked out it was like if you got a donut and shoved it down a tube, like a Pringles tube, but then that donut turned into a sea
spinning around.
Yeah, spinning around inside the tube. And
a big doughy sea spinning around 360 degrees.
Yeah, then I was like, oh, I understand. Like it's got a hole in the middle, but the waves are going around and around like a washing machine.
Shall we start segment 1 with some trivia about the man himself, Rach?
Yes, go on.
So Clarke was born in Somerset in England in 1917. Even from a young age, he gravitated to the sciences like fossil collecting and astronomy. He moved to London when he was 19 and joined the Board of Education as a pensions auditor. Sounds like a bit of a snore fest. While in London, he and some fellow science fiction writers shared a flat in Gray's Inn Road, where he got the nickname Ego because of his absorption in subjects that interested him. And later, either he or they named his office filled with memorabilia as his ego chamber. That's interesting.
Is that the real reason he was nicknamed Ego? Or
Yeah, maybe not behind
he
his
was
back.
a bit up himself.
And then just also around his life, during the Second World War from 1941 to 46, he served in the Royal Air Force as a radar specialist and was involved in the early warning radar defence system, which contributed to the RAF's success during the Battle of Britain. So that's just his early life. Stay tuned to hear more about what he got to later on down the track.
Yeah, well, I have one fact, not two, but just on this genre, there were big three writers of space science fiction in the 20th century. So they were Isaac Asimov, Robert A. Heinlein, and Arthur C. Clarke. And they're generally considered to be the most influential writers of the genre, and they helped to establish what's called hard science fiction. Hard, which means based on hard scientific facts. Have you heard of any of these writers or read?
Yeah. And actually, by all accounts, he had a friendly rivalry with Asimov. So Clarke and Asimov first met in New York City in 1953, and they traded friendly insults and jibes for decades. They established an oral agreement, which was called the Clarke-Asimov Treaty, that they really are nerds. That when asked who was better, the two would say Clarke was the better science fiction writer and Asimov was the better science writer. So there you go.
Oh, right. Yeah. Well, I did notice that both Clarke and Asimov, they both created 3 laws. So like the 3 laws of Arthur C. Clarke and the 3 laws of Isaac Asimov. But a bit more about that later. But yeah, they both do sound a bit pretentious. Yeah.
Maybe, yeah.
They might have been being funny. I don't know.
And let me finish this off with a completely unrelated fact. Did you know in 1994 Clarke appeared in a cameo as himself in a science fiction film called Without Warning? It was an American production about an apocalyptic I can't pronounce that, alien first contact scenario presented in the form of a faux newscast. And in fact, he wasn't a stranger to entertainment at all. In the 1980s and early 1990s, Clarke presented his television programs Arthur C. Clarke's Mysterious World, Arthur C. Clarke's World of Strange Powers, and Arthur C. Clarke's Mysterious Universe. He really liked his own name.
I really didn't catch any of those on the TV. I wonder why not. I don't remember them being on TV. No. Anyway, should we do some silly questions now?
Yes, let's wrap it up with some silly questions.
The first one isn't that silly. But would you rather have been Jimmy flying around on his dragonfly inside the spaceship, or would you rather be Boris Rodrigo going outside the spaceship towards the Hermione missile and having to be out in outer space disabling a missile?
I really liked that whole dragonfly bit. Like, I loved that it was kind of like a flying bike.
Yeah.
So I think even though I would feel a bit exposed, I think I'd be Jimmy. What about you?
Yeah, definitely Jimmy, because at least you're inside the spaceship. The thought of being in outer space and just on the outside of a missile in the middle of nothing, like, that's petrifying. I was really scared reading those bits. I didn't like it. All right, sillier question. Would you rather have to remember the anniversaries of 3 space wives in 3 different time zones? Or would you rather be one of the wives who is none the wiser?
Oh, totally the anniversaries, although I'm terrible with dates. But I wouldn't want to be some crusty old third wife either.
Yeah, well, in the book, the 2 wives knew about each other. They weren't kept a secret.
Would you like to be married to him? It didn't sound like... Yeah.
Well, it depends. Like, hang on. It depends. If I was in love with him, then no. But if I was just using him for money and status, then sure, I'm happy.
It's quite a distinction there.
Yeah.
Clarke was well known for putting scientific realism ahead of deep character development. For example, John Leonard of the New York Times once said Clarke seemed benignly indifferent to the niceties of characterization. It's a bit of a burn. But
Hard agree.
Yeah, but he did praise him for capturing that chilling touch of the alien, the not quite knowable, that makes the best sci-fi so powerful. A big part of that comes from Clarke's use of hard science accuracy that you kind of alluded to before. He filled his novels with real orbital mechanics, engineering details, and technical plausibility. That commitment to scientific realism gave his stories a sense of authenticity, even if the characters sometimes felt a bit secondary.
Yeah. So speaking of like unfleshed out characters, we need to talk about Commander Bill Norton from Brisbane, Brizzy. So yeah, I get the feeling that what he was trying to do with this character was make him a real man's man, like John Wayne, like capable, disciplined leadership. And he was, I don't know, I think he was trying to show that he embodied the professionalism required to guide like a mission of unprecedented scale. But just like crafting him as this steady, rational presence where the personal life is only lightly sketched. I think he was trying to say, like, this is so important that you don't worry about his wife and kids back home. Like, look in the foreground, don't look at the stuff. But it didn't work for me at all. I was like, just don't mention his personal life at all because it's making me hate Commander Bill Norton, like the brief mentions of his personal life. And I get, like, he's trying to say, like, this is an event on a humankind scale. Don't worry about the individual person. But I'm like, I don't care about the science that much. So I was just like,
me either.
Why is he duplicating the same message to both his wives? Like, what a douche. But, yeah, I found the brief mentions of his personal life weird and jarring and didn't think it worked. Did you think that it worked, the Bill Norton character?
I mean, I didn't love his character, but I loved the fact that he was an Aussie. Like, I love it when Aussies pop up, like, unexpectedly in novels.
Yeah.
When it's not an Australian author. Like, obviously, if it's an Australian author, yeah, it's going to be an Australian book. But I love it when it's unexpected like that. And so, of course, that made me go down the rabbit hole with his Wikipedia page. And I found out Arthur C Clarke was actually a mad keen diver. So the connection there is that he visited Australia in 1954 for a diving trip to the Great Barrier Reef. That's where
he mentions that in the book. Yeah,
exactly. And he later described that dive as a source of inspiration for his interest in underwater exploration. And in fact, the sea inside Rama was inspired by Clarke's lifelong passion for scuba diving. He imagined the same sense of vastness, alien beauty and danger that he felt underwater just turned inside out in space.
Wow. Yeah. That's so funny because I found the bit with Boris Rodrigo going into outer space really petrifying, and I find scuba diving and snorkeling petrifying. I'm like,
similar thing there.
Well, no, the opposite to him. Like, he's obviously likes going into underwater worlds and exploring, and I'm like, I don't belong here. I'm a land mammal. I need to get back on set.
So I doubt you're going to be exploring the Mariana Trench anytime soon. Then.
God, no. Very petrified of stuff like that.
Well, it was with that same sense of curiosity and wonder that his hero explorers treat Rama when they finally get inside. So they want to explore, understand, and not destroy. But then on the flip side, you've got the Hermians, who basically want to blow it sky high with a nuke. So Clarke sets up this tension between fear and curiosity. If it had came down to it, would humanity meet the unknown with open minds, or would we lash out and try to destroy it? It's a theme that feels pretty relevant today, don't you think, Rach?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the internet hadn't really come about back in 1972 when this was published, but definitely humanity and fear and the internet are huge themes like in 2025 today. And I realize that people use social media to like stoke fear and anger, and that's what keeps the algorithm fed and what keeps the tech bros rich. But yeah, I do understand like the fear of the unknown, and you can understand why the Hermians wanted to nuke something that was right near their planet and could have destroyed their colony because they didn't understand it. And just want to mention, this is a fact I've stolen from Viv from our book club. So shout out to Vivian. She was saying that the humans that settled and colonized Mercury, the reason he was calling them Hermians is because Mercury is the Roman god and Hermes is the Greek equivalent. So
you always have to get a Greek fact.
I know. Well, no, this is from Viv. Viv told us all. So yeah, like if the humans settle and colonize Mercury, then they're known as Hermians for being from there, which I think is funny because if you take that to Mars, which I don't think he did in the book, then the equivalent would be Aries, so he'd have to call them Aryans. And because he fought in World War II, he'd be like, I'm not calling anyone Aryan. Like, no way. But yeah, like Venus, they'd be Aphrodite, Aphrodisians.
I like that.
Aphrodisiacs. They've just like, it's quite fun to play with that. I thought that was a cool rule. I don't know if he invented it or if that's the rule for naming human colonies from different planets.
I love it.
It's cool.
Yeah, very good. So should I finish us off with a random fact for this segment?
Yes.
Did you know that Arthur C Clarke led a pretty colourful personal life? Back in 1953, he had a very short-lived marriage to a young American woman named Marilyn Mayfield, but it only lasted 6 months, though the divorce dragged on for years, apparently. He never remarried after that, but later in Sri Lanka, he became very close to a man named Leslie. I'm not even going to try and pronounce Leslie's last name.
Okay.
But Clarke described Leslie as his only perfect friend. They're even buried together, which begs the question, was he gay? Now, Clarke never really made his sexuality a big public focus, but he didn't hide it either, which I thought was pretty brave of him. He'd joke about being mildly cheerful when he was asked if he was gay.
Yeah, right,
pretty good.
Okay.
And in one interview, he casually admitted to bisexual experiences like, of course, who hasn't? Apparently his friends and fellow writers pretty much all knew he was gay and they all spoke very fondly of him. He had a real reputation for being a very kind and generous man. So there you go.
Okay. Okay. That's blown a theory of mine out of the water because I thought he hated women from the way he written Bill Norton in the book. Maybe he just didn't have much to do with women.
Yeah, maybe.
Although the divorce dragged on for long, maybe he did hate women.
So maybe that was the connection there. Yeah.
Are you ready to traverse the 7 kingdoms of Westeros and explore the epic saga of A Song in Ice and Fire? Join me, your host Liz, on the Westerosi Primer podcast, where I discuss all things Westeros. I talk about things in the novels and related books that don't get included in the TV shows. Whether you're a book aficionado or a TV viewer only, there's something for everyone. Check out thewesterosiprimer.com for more info. You can also follow the show on Instagram and Twitter. There's also a newsletter to keep up to date with the show if you're not on social media. The podcast is available on Spotify, Overcast, Apple Podcasts, and more.
Clarke packed Rendezvous with Rama with fascinating details about Rama's interior. For example, going back to the cylindrical sea, Clarke didn't just make up Rama's massive spinning interior, he borrowed from real engineering concepts. The design of the cylindrical sea is essentially an O'Neill cylinder, which for us non-scientific folks is the equivalent of those fairground rides that you go in and line up against the walls. You know those ones?
Yeah.
And it starts spinning so fast it pins you back against the wall and you can actually lift yourself off the ground and turn upside down if you like. So Clarke was already imagining how centrifugal force could mimic gravity long before that became a mainstream idea in space habitat discussions.
Yeah, so those fairground rides. I know the one at Luna Park is called the Rota.
Yeah.
But when I was
That's
a
what
kid,
I was thinking of.
yeah, when I was a kid, I went to one at the Royal Easter Show, and it was called the Gravitron. I don't know if there's any difference, but you know, you get in and it's like a big washing machine, and it starts spinning. You get stuck to the wall, the floor drops away. But I just remember I was a kid, and there was a kid sort of just across from me. And it was the time where you had Velcro wallets, like Billabong Velcro wallets.
Yep.
And he had all his money for the Royal Easter Show in his wallet. So he was holding it in front of him, like his arms were at right angles, and he was holding it to make sure he didn't lose his wallet in this Gravitron. And so it starts spinning. We all get stuck to the walls. The floor drops away. You can't, like, your arms are pinned down, and he's like still holding his wallet like this. And then one by one, all the coins sucked out of his wallet and started hitting the wall. And they were like hitting him in the face. And it was like his $2 coin and his $1 coin and his 50 cent. And I was laughing so hard because I was a kid too. But I couldn't even point, like I couldn't lift my hand up to point and laugh because we were all stuck to the wall. And then obviously when it's the spinning slows down, like all his coins dropped, and he was like trying to scrabble around and get them so they wouldn't fall down. It was the funniest thing I've ever seen.
Funny,
poor kid.
but
like,
poor little guy.
I know. I bet he still remembers because I still remember. It's one of my favourite memories. A kid. Anyway, enough of that. Did you know that in 1945, so before spaceflight was possible, Clarke actually published an article where he proposed using geostationary satellites as relay stations for global communications. So he actually even calculated the precise altitude where a satellite would appear stationary relative to the Earth's surface, like proper science. So they use that orbit now, and they call it the Clarke orbit. But the worst bit, or the best bit, is that he was this really idealistic person, and he was committed to progress over profit, so he didn't patent that idea.
Oh.
And when people invented satellite technology based on that idea and other people's ideas, he didn't get anything. He's
got the honour of it.
Yeah, but it probably cost him millions and millions and millions of dollars. But that's his idealism of like progress over profit. Like everything should be shared, knowledge should be shared amongst all humans. So yeah,
very noble.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
And actually, on the same note as that, did you know that Arthur C Clarke's fictional Space Guard program in Rama was so compelling, it actually inspired the real-world Space Guard survey in the 1990s? So similar thing.
Oh, like the monitoring for asteroids coming.
Yeah, it's NASA's initiative to find near-Earth objects. And in Rama, Clarke was using the program as a world-building detail, but real-life scientists later adopted the concept and name for their project to detect potentially hazardous asteroids.
Oh, well, NASA's been defunded a lot, so hopefully someone's still keeping an eye on things.
Well, they are, because isn't there like one that's going to come in a couple of years' time that they're worried about? Yeah.
Oh, I need to like hack into my super account and start spending it all. I didn't know that. No.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, okay, I've got a fact. Did you know, I mean, you did know because I mentioned it earlier, that Arthur C Clarke had 3 laws similar to, you know, thermodynamics has 3 laws, and obviously Mogwai have 3 laws.
Yeah.
That was a joke. Anyway, so Clarke's 3rd law was any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic, which is brilliant. Like that's such a cool law. And when I was reading it to research this podcast, I was like, it put it in perspective because I'm always grumbling about my life. And then I read that law and I was like, oh my goodness, I remember when Penny from Inspector Gadget had that computer book, and all I wanted when I was a kid was to grow up and have a computer book. And now I have one. Like I have an iPhone and it's magic, and Like, imagine if we were Bill and Ted and we got in that phone box and we went back and got like Socrates and Joan of Arc and we showed them our iPhones. And like we could show them a large language model like ChatGPT or one of the other ones. They would just be like, this is incredible. Like, it's magic. It's indistinguishable from magic.
Yeah.
So it just reminded me that even though I'm a neoliberal slave to the capitalist society, I'm also very fortunate to be alive with the technology
in the age
we
of
have.
technology, for sure.
Yeah. What a world.
Trivia alert! Did you know that Arthur C Clarke originally meant for Rendezvous with Rama to be a standalone novel? So the ending was supposed to stand as it is, but 16 years later, as you well know, as you're about to tell us all about them, Rach, the first of 3 sequels was released in 1989.
Yeah, I think it works well as a standalone, but there were 3 sequels. So the sequels are Rama 2, and then The Garden of Rama and Rama Revealed. But these were actually co-written with Gentry Lee. So Rendezvous obviously was published in 1973, and that was completely written by Clarke. But then Gentry Lee was kind of petitioning Clarke, like, I want to keep going with Rama. I love Rama. So eventually Clarke was like, okay, I'll be the source of ideas, but you do the writing. So Gentry did the writing, and from 1989, Rama 2 was released, and then the subsequent other 2. But apparently Gentry's writing is more character driven, so I think I'd probably prefer that. Yeah, like the hard science kind of goes in one ear and out the other with me.
I'm keen to read the sequels, but I also think it's great that you could read it and then not, like, if you don't want to keep
going,
finding out more, you don't have to, because it's quite perfect there.
It is
the way
a standalone, but it's I can understand Gentry Lee going, this place that you've created and this spaceship you've created is so intriguing, like we need more. Like, it's like if you wanted to break into somebody else, like
brain.
George George R. Martin's invented this whole world, and someone else saying, oh, I just want to write a story set in that world. Like, I can understand that.
Well, it's like fan fiction, right? That's what people do now. They're like, well, Hermione and Draco, let's get her on. You know that?
Yeah, it is, except with the permission, like going and saying, JK, give me a few ideas and I'll write it all down for you. I don't think she'd agree, but yeah, someone might.
And so did you also know, Rach, that Rama has been adapted into several formats, including video games and a BBC Radio 4 production, 2-part radio adaptation of the book as part of a science fiction season?
No, I didn't know there were any adaptations.
Yeah, as for the video games, there was a graphic adventure with a text parser that was made in 1984. Despite its primitive graphics, it had highly detailed descriptions, and it followed the book very closely along with having puzzles to solve during the game. In Spain, there was an official adaptation in 1983 called Cita con Rama, which was known for its high-quality graphics for the time, probably not now so much. And then in 1966, Sierra Entertainment created Rama as a point-and-click adventure game in the style of Myst, which I loved when I was a kid. I know you're not the biggest computer games.
I don't know anything about computer games.
But yeah, it had highly detailed graphics. Arthur C Clarke also appeared in the game as a guide for the player, and it also featured characters from the sequel book, Rama 2, so that's a tie-in. Yeah. And also, I'm surprised it hasn't been made into a movie, right? You'd think, like, it would be great to see that in real life.
I think it would be a good movie, yeah.
Yeah. Well, there has also been a plan to adapt it to film as early as the 2000s, with Morgan Freeman expressing interest in producing it, but it's been stuck in development hell. Despite interest from all sides, it's been plagued with funding and script issues. By 2012, Freeman was still expressing hope that the project would go ahead. He even wanted to play your favourite Commander Norton himself. But he emphasised that finding a good script remained the biggest barrier. So finally, in 2021, Alcon Entertainment acquired the project, and Denis Villeneuve, the guy who directed Dune, apparently he's currently actively writing the script. So there's hope that we will see it one day in our lifetime on the Technicolor screen.
I wonder if,
Yeah, I want.
I would have thought writing the script was pretty easy. Like, it seems like you would just take the
Take it
book
off the book.
yeah.
Well, I also wonder if they'll keep the same ending. What do you think? What
I
did you
loved
think
the
about the
ending.
ending?
I
Yeah.
thought the ending was funny. Just the fact that the spaceship, they're all like, oh, it's coming to get us, or we're going to make contact with them or something. And it was basically just an empty Uber that was like a courier, and it did a 3-point turn at the sun and just left. And I'm like, it had, like, they did not care about Earth or humans at all.
It was just powering up. It was just
Yeah,
powering
I thought it
itself
was
up.
hilarious. And then the bit where the scientist wakes up from a dream and says, they do everything in threes. And
Yeah.
I thought that was really funny and good. But yeah, did you like the ending? No, you didn't, did you?
No. So it's funny that you mentioned that because, as you know, I'm not a fan of unresolved mysteries, and I hate it when books peter out for some reason. But I love the ending of Rama too. Like I said, it was satisfying enough that if you just wanted to read it as a standalone, you could, because you can just imagine that it's never coming back. But it also opened up the possibility for a return as well, which is, of course, what's happened with the Rama 2 and 3, etc.
Well, you'd think 2 more would come through and do their 3-point turns and go on. There's 2 more coming, surely.
But in his interviews, Clarke said that he deliberately left Rama's creators and purpose unexplained because he believed real first contact would be baffling, not neatly wrapped up. And this all without answers is why fans are still arguing about Rama all these decades later.
Oh, okay. See, I thought it was resolved. Like, I thought it was like, yep, it came, it sucked a bit of power out of the sun, and then it kept going. Like, that's good enough for me. That's a resolution enough for me. So, just talking about Rama, the actual spaceship, I was trying to work out, like, sizing, how big it is. So, it's meant to be about 54 kilometres long. So if we're thinking Pringles tube, it's a Pringles tube that goes from roughly Sydney Airport to Palm Beach. So sorry if you don't live in Sydney, you're going to have to go on Google Maps and work out 54 kilometres from something you know, but that's huge. And then the diameter across the tube is 20 kilometres roughly. So that's from like Sydney CBD to Epping. So that's how wide it is.
Yeah.
So that's, I can't even really get that around my head, like a Pringles tube, but that big. That's enormous. That's a very vast. That's a lot of Pringles.
I do like Pringles.
So do I. Let's wrap up with the final round of true or false. I'm going to start us off. So, Jess, true or false? Boris Rodrigo disables the Hermian missile for religious reasons. True or false?
It's true.
Yes, he thinks it's an ark sent by Jesus and he has to save it.
Whatever floats your boat.
Good on you, Boris.
I've got a true or false for you. Just hours before Clarke's death in 2008, a major gamma ray burst reached Earth. True or false?
Gamma ray burst. True.
It is true. So it's known as GRB 080319b. GRB is for gamma ray burst.
Catchy.
But the burst set a new record as the farthest object that can be seen from Earth with the naked eye. Larry Sessions, a science writer for Sky and Telescope magazine, suggested that the burst be named the Clarke event. True fact.
That's nice. Okay. I've got a really easy one for you. True or false? Arthur C Clarke fought in World War II as part of the Royal Navy.
True. We really...
No, Royal Navy.
Oh, it was RAF. RAF.
Yeah.
You got me. You got me. My true or false? Arthur C Clarke delayed receiving his knighthood until 2000 because of a tabloid accusation that was later proven false.
It's 50-50. True?
It is true, and it's not a great story, but on 26th of May 2000, he was made a knight bachelor for services to literature at a ceremony in Colombo. The knighthood had been awarded in 1998, in the New Year honours list, but it had been delayed at Clarke's request because of an accusation by the tabloid The Sunday Mirror that he was paying little boys for sex. I know, pretty shocking, but the charge was subsequently found to be baseless by the Sri Lankan police. So and then he had his knighthood after that.
If that wasn't true and someone printed
Awful!
Yeah, because mud sticks.
Yeah.
That's sad. Hopefully it wasn't true. Okay, my last true or false. True or false, some of Clarke's ashes were spread onto the surface of the moon.
False?
It is false, but it was
It would be cool
true.
if it was true.
It was almost true. They were put into the Peregrine Mission 1, but the Peregrine Mission spacecraft failed to land on the moon and it disintegrated in the Earth's atmosphere on the 19th of January 2024.
His ashes did.
Yeah, like his ashes were put into the spaceship last year, and then the spaceship didn't get to the moon, it disintegrated. So he's
kind of still, I was going to say he's still in the atmosphere.
Floating around in the atmosphere. I wonder if he's in the Clarke orbit where all the satellites are.
It's probably better that way. Instead of just being on the moon, he can sort of infiltrate the rest of the universe.
Yeah, he's just floating around like Boris in outer space.
Hopefully not with Hermians after him. My last one for you, true or false? Arthur C Clarke's home in Sri Lanka was destroyed in the 2004 tsunami, the really big one. True or false?
Well, he would have lived near the beach because he likes scuba diving. So, true?
It's false, but it's a bit of a fake out because although he and his home were unharmed by the 2004 Indian Ocean earthquake tsunami, his Arthur C Clarke diving school, it's now called Underwater Safaris, in a village in Sri Lanka was actually destroyed. And it's a pretty good story though. As a result, he made humanitarian appeals and the Arthur C Clarke Foundation worked towards better disaster notification systems. So it has a good ending because...
So he turned that lemon into a lemonade.
Yeah.
With science.
With science.
What a guy.
What a guy.
All
right, space travellers, if you've stuck with us this long, you've not only survived Rama's mysterious interior, but you've also made it to the end of the podcast. Pat on the back.
Yay.
Now, before we power down the ship, it's time for a sneak peek at what's coming up next. Rach, do you want to launch us into your clue?
Yes, next time we're going back to early to mid 20th centuries to England, and we're going to pry into the life of a naive but very poor teenage girl.
Ooh, and my clue is next time we'll be swapping spaceships for crumbling castles and meeting a heroine who starts her story by writing in the kitchen sink. Any guesses?
I've got a guess. Okay, that's the end of the episode. Thank you so much for listening. And if you like this episode, please like and subscribe. And only if you liked it, rate our podcast on whichever podcasting app you use. Or better still, tell a friend to listen. For more book trivia, find us at booktriviapodcast.com. And you can also follow us on Reddit and Substack where we are Book Trivia Podcast. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Welcome to the Book Trivia Podcast, where we give you books